and thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to be finding out 3 ways that travel merchants can keep consumers coming back for more. We're joined by Rob Kenley, who is the Chief Commercial Officer at payments provider Tymit, who's going to be sharing insights into how the travel industry can use payments data to bolster growth. Now, Tymit spoke to 250 travel merchants across the UK and Europe, as well as more than 2,500 online consumers, to ask them about their priorities, pain points, and preferences around payments. And Rob is going to be sharing the findings with us. So Rob, could you give us a bit of an introduction to Tymit?
Yeah, hi Charlotte. So Tymit is an installment specialist payments provider. So we provide products and solutions to large merchants who want to provide installment solutions to their customers.
Brilliant, thank you. Now you did this huge piece of research. What are you seeing in the travel industry with regards to purchasing and spending?
Well, it's a really interesting backdrop at the moment. We're seeing a lot of recovery in the travel industry. That's borne out in our research and also, general findings in the market today. So it's a really good outlook. It's positive, but there are little pockets of untapped opportunity, and this is what our research has shown. In particular, we're seeing some evidence that some customers are still a little bit concerned about the affordability of travel and really trying to understand what is driving this. And how that then, can be addressed through better payment experiences and solutions that help them to make travel become a little bit more affordable.
Perfect, thank you. And tell us, how do you think personalisation and smart promotion can keep consumers coming back for more?
Yeah, this is a really interesting area. There's a lot of attention and some investments into, the use of connected travel, I suppose. Whether that's enabled by AI technologies or just better use of existing technologies that can personalize the experience. We're seeing a lot of development of mobile apps that kind of bring together all the different kind of elements of travel into a single experience. And there's a lot of, I suppose, battling happened between flight companies and hotel companies and specialist providers who are all trying to get an increased share of the customer's travel wallet. And that's an interesting battleground. Payments has a role to play in there as well. If travel providers can start using payments data amongst all the other data that they're using to personalize these experiences, we think that could unlock even more growth in this whole kind of connected travel space.
Perfect. So we've got the backdrop of the cost of living crisis and the fact that travel is a sort of large, infrequent purchase. With those in mind, what trends are we seeing with regards to preferred payment options among consumers?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag still. I mean, again, it really depends on demographics and on what people can afford. I think credit does play a very important role in funding travel. Whether that's credit cards or more kind of specialist finance products that travel providers want to offer themselves. It's interesting, buy now, pay later, obviously, which is a very fast growing travel option. It's certainly well used within retail, but perhaps less so within the travel sector. And we've got some reasons why we think that's happening. The margins that travel providers earn are slightly lower than the mainstream retail, and consequently that means that some of the fees that buy now pay later providers charge can somehow price that payment method out of the travel market. So credit is important. But I think travel providers probably need solutions that maybe a little bit more affordable, from a cost perspective, so that they can offer those to their end consumers.
Great, thank you. So thinking about all of that and the fact that firms need to try and retain their travel customers, how can merchants expand their offering to increase both their relevancy and customer loyalty?
Yeah, I think it again comes back to extending just beyond that core flight or that core hotel or core package holiday. If you can, again, coming back to data, start to understand how you can connect all of the different elements of a travel experience, and perhaps, put that into a nice consumer interface, digital interface, a mobile app, which we know a lot of travel companies do offer, but also integrating payments in there as well, so that the whole proposition, becomes much richer than just the individual parts of it. So the sum of those parts, I think, into a whole is how retention can be better achieved.
Brilliant. And for travel firms, there's a lot to consider, isn't there, when choosing a payment solution? Could you talk us through some of the current available options?
I mean, you've got cards, clearly, and they still play a very, very large role. You have digital wallets, and you have these more specialist finance products like buy now, pay later. Now, one of the critical things for a travel merchant or any merchant when they're making a decision about what payment providers to use is two things. It's cost and conversion. So what is the most convenient payment option that a travel provider can offer? That will often be the one that has the least friction. Now, digital wallets, I think, are starting to play quite an important role, especially because consumers are booking travel online. So, that whole kind of one-click experience is very, very important. But equally cost. If the fees are too high, then clearly that creates a pressure on margins. So, like any business, you've got to balance up, those two things and actually work out, what is best, from a commercial perspective, as well as, giving the customers that nice streamlined experience. So I think those are things that are pretty well established within travel. And I suppose it's these new types of payment products, often where you can't see what the conversion rates are going to be like. Travel providers do need to perhaps experiment with some of these things, see how it actually plays out, and then roll it out to the rest of their customer base.
Great, thank you. And buy now, pay later payment plans have exploded over recent years. I know you shared some figures with us, showing that in the UK between January and June 2022, consumers spent more than 5.6 billion via the pay now, pay later options, which is massive. So do you think this is the way forward for travel businesses?
I think it has a significant role to play in the payment mix. It's not for everybody. If you can afford to travel, you have the money sitting in your bank account, then you're prepared to actually spend that in one go, then you could argue there isn't a need for buy now, pay later. But there are clearly a lot of consumers out there who really do value this nice, smooth way of making payments in installments. So I hope that we'll see more travel providers adopt buy now, pay later. But with perhaps a little bit of a different type of flavor to that, rather than the traditional buy now, pay later model, which is to partner with a specialist company who will maybe charge quite high fees. So perhaps looking at maybe merging the best of credit cards and also buy now, pay later, and even developing a proposition like that under the merchant's brand. I think that could be a very interesting way forward for travel merchants, rather than going down the kind of traditional route.
Okay, and so do you think travel firms should be looking instead at the, sort of an installment-based payment offering then?
Yeah, for sure. Even though it's very much geared up for customers who want to spread the cost of purchases due to affordability, there are other things that you can potentially bring to the table with a payment product that brings the best of installments and buy now, pay later with credit, but also loyalty features as well. Going back to your point about how do you keep customers retained and engaged? Well, if you can combine all of those things into a single proposition, then you're really cooking, I think, and that's what perhaps is missing in the market today is that more kind of integrated solution that encompasses all of those things.
That's really interesting. Thank you. I know you also shared in your research, you found that a huge 95% of merchants and 88% of consumers said that customers need and deserve fairer payment options. But what does that boil down to? What actually constitutes a fairer payment solution?
Yeah, I think this is interesting as well. A lot of reasons why people use credit cards to book travel is protection. If the company isn't able to fulfill on that holiday or that flight beyond the regulations that govern or give consumer protection for travel companies, there's this extra layer of protection that consumers get with credit cards, and that's why a lot of customers like to use cards. So when it comes to these new types of payment products that have installments, again, I come back to the previous point. If you can combine that with the protection you get with a credit card, that is what we think is a fairer payment solution. Something that gives customers the ability to spread purchases at hopefully at a cheap interest rate, or if it's possible, even at no interest rate at all, and combine that with that very important consumer protection, just in case the worst happens.
Great, thank you. Well, we've covered lots of ground. Do you have any sort of final thoughts or ideas to share?
Yeah, I'm really excited about the prospects for these new types of payment solutions within travel, and it's really up to providers to maybe take a little bit of a leap of faith and try something a little bit different to address some of these opportunities and issues that we've spoken about today. So I look forward to seeing more travel companies kind of taking more control of this whole payment space themselves and developing some really interesting new propositions.
Brilliant. Lovely. Thank you, Rob. Thank you so much for joining us today. And if you're interested in finding out more about how payments data can help you unlock growth, then you can download Tymit's research report now using the link below this video. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you soon at the next TTG webinar. Goodbye.